emerged that dozens of 3- and 4-year-olds have been sent to the controversial NHS transgender clinic. More than 70 preschoolers were referred to the Gender Identity Development Service just over the past decade. I'm joined by Stephanie Davies-Arai, who's the Director of Transgender Trend. Thank you very much for joining me, Stephanie. Were you surprised by these statistics?
No, we've known this for a while, that very young children have been referred to the Tavistock, and it's increased over the decade, I think, because of the direct targeting of the youngest children by activists. So we have around 60 picture books now for little children for the earliest ages, 3+. And of course, in primary schools now, it's also promoted the idea of gender identity. So parents now are in a position where they think their child has a problem, when actually it's just a normal part of childhood development.
Now, the NHS Trust that runs this service, they've said that no 3-year-olds would have received treatment, but there may have been sort of one-off discussions about their psychological state with the parents and the carers to provide some sort of support and advice. Is your concern that that would have included an affirmation that they are, in fact, born in the wrong body?
Well, we know that the Tavistock went more and more towards a gender affirmative approach, so we don't actually know what advice was given to parents. There was a documentary about the Tavistock a few years ago called The Gender Clinic, where it was seen clinicians giving advice to a 7-year-old boy, saying to him, "Do you think you'll always feel like a girl?" And of course he said yes. Even at 7 years old, which is what the NHS is proposing now, there is a problem there with how much children can understand. Of course, children think they will never change. The same as teenagers who are convinced they will absolutely never change. They will always be the same. But they're developing. It's childhood and adolescent development that we're looking at. The problem now is, even if the age is increased to age 7 years old, because of all the activism, a lot of parents will think it's the best thing to socially transition their child. So to tell their little boy that, yes, he is really a girl if he feels that way. And so these children may be coming to the clinic for the first time at age 7, having been, that little boy having been told he's a girl for years by his parents, by his school, by his classmates. And so he arrives at the clinic fully convinced that he really is a girl. So actually, although, no children should be going to gender clinics, no child needs a gender clinic. I really think the NHS needs to do more work in training CAMs, clinicians, therapists, so that if parents are really worried about a child, they can access support in how to support that child to be what they really are, the sex that they really are, without confusing them that it is possible to change sex. So we need sensible advice from NHS clinicians in other areas, so that children are not referred to gender clinics. So,
Stephanie, are you saying that no child of any age should visit such a clinic?
I don't think it is a place where, certainly from the evidence of the Tavistock, it's become so overtaken by an activist agenda, which is gender affirmation. I think that the new clinics that are being set up, according to the advice of Hilary Cass, who did the review of the Tavistock, sound much better, in that those clinics will refer children to other services if they have underlying mental health issues, previous trauma, if they're autistic, if they're confused and depressed adolescents, then they can be referred to other ordinary mental health services. The number of children who...
Yes, Stephanie, that was one of the issues with the Tavistock clinic, wasn't it? That a child could have had all sorts of issues, perhaps there was autism or other mental health problems, yet they would, once they'd gone down the gender route, that would be the way they were treated, with little recognition of anything else that was going on. That was one of the major criticism, wasn't it?
Yes, Dr. Hilary Cass put it that as soon as the word gender was mentioned, then all other issues were ignored. So that led to what she termed diagnostic overshadowing. So mental health issues, for example, were ignored. Any kind of eating disorders or body dysmorphia or any reasons for that those feelings of gender distress were just ignored, and the
Yeah.
child was encouraged towards a medical pathway, and that is what I think no child needs.
I mean, a lot of people will just be gobsmacked that a parent would take a child of age 3 and 4 to a gender clinic. But there you go, that's the state of affairs. Stephanie Davies-Array, who's the director of Transgender Trend, thank you very much indeed for your time. Now, a spokesman for the Tavistock Clinic said the GIDS pathway provides psychological assessment, treatment and support for families, so we are unable to provide figures on those who have undergone physical interventions. The outcome of gender identity development in younger prepubertal young people is uncertain, and so treatment is not provided. Most often, there would be a one-off discussion with the parents or carers to provide support and advice.